Hello and welcome to Dungeoneered, a podcast dedicated to discussing Dungeons and Dragons. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Josh.
Let's do this. All right, Josh. So for the Lukewarm Open today, it is a very special day called Father's Day because we're recording this on Sunday.
We are recording this on Father's Day.
And so I was thinking that we should do a Lukewarm Open. Now, I don't know how long this will last, by the way. This might be like a 5-minute or this could be a 25-minute. We never know.
Okay.
But I'm thinking we make a holiday. How do you run a holiday, and what kind of holiday would you run?
Well, I mean, there's the classics.
Christmas?
Well, no, I was meaning things that relate to, like, huge, easily identifiable things. Like for,
What do you mean, like
for farming community, having
Harvest Festival or something like that?
Yeah, have like, oh, this is around the time where they're all harvesting their stuff, so it becomes this thing. It becomes this festival of harvest time.
Okay, let's narrow it down a little bit here, and I want to do, because I said Christmas. I know it's Father's Day, but sorry, fathers, get out of here. I'm thinking let's make a Christmas holiday, but like an under the radar Christmas holiday. So you like steal Christmas, but make it D&Dable. Does that make sense?
So you steal Christmas. So you're like the Grinch. So this is Grinch Day?
You're like the Grinch. Yeah. The Grinch
Christmas.
of D&D. Yeah. Ooh, we should add the Grinch too. There definitely needs to be some sort of folklore about it too.
Well, I say we have Krampus. We bring Krampus in.
Oh, God. He's so terrifying.
He's such a good go-to. Krampus is great.
That's true. It's true. Okay, so what does our Christmas look like then? Is it in winter, first of all? Do we have it in winter? Or
I
do
say
we change
let's
it
not.
up?
I say let's do it in spring.
In spring? Okay, Christmas in spring. Not even Christmas in July. It'd be funny if it was July, but not even Christmas in
no,
July.
it's spring.
Just Christmas in
So
spring.
it's literally right after winter.
Okay,
I think
why is it in spring?
This is a gift-giving holiday for when the plant, like,
as the plants
right
give
after
us
planting
gifts
has happened.
of flowers.
Yeah, I think it started with that. I think it started with like a flower festival thing. And so what it was this is after everything's been planted. This is when things are starting to spring up out of the ground.
Yeah, yep.
And so there were a bunch of like flowers and stuff that in the whatever area we're doing, they kind of pop up around this time. So people would honor that by, there was like this flower giving ceremony. They would all give each other flowers and whatnot. And it would kind of be like a romantic holiday. And then it kind of spread from
I'm
not
following.
just. So my idea is this would be kind of like around that time that everything is springing up out of the ground. And there are some flowers in the area that is like the time that they are growing, that they're done growing. So they're all beautiful at this point. And it starts out as kind of like a romance festival, like a romance holiday, where they would give a rose or give whatever the flower is to your loved one.
Okay.
And then eventually it kind of expanded to just give gifts to your loved ones. Does that make sense?
How did it? Yeah, no, totally. How did it expand?
Well, I think it's pretty
gifts.
easy. So it's like originally they're just giving flowers to their person they're romantically interested in or whatever. They get married. Then they also start giving some flowers to their kids. Then some people are like, hey, my kid's not really a huge fan of flowers. Why don't I get them like a gift or a toy or something?
No,
and so they start
Mom.
doing that. And then it kind of just expands from there.
Okay, so we have this gift-giving ceremony thing, like holiday, that's like Christmas, where it's spring, and because plants have kind of sprouted up and they've given flowers, it's like a celebration of that kind of fact, and started out as people giving flowers to people, to loved ones, to whatever, and then it slowly started to evolve with just giving gifts out of generosity. Now, who's the evil bad guy like the Grinch who just hates Springmas? Who is it? What are we doing? I just said Springmas. Yep.
Well, so I kind of want him to be called the Noid. Do you know who the Noid is?
The Noid? No, that sounds weird though.
Well, so there was an advertising. It's actually come back recently
Noid.
for Domino's. And the Noid is this little red goblin monster who tries to stop pizza deliveries. He wants to destroy Domino's pizza deliveries. No, this is 100% thing. Joke? And they brought it back.
This is genius.
This was a thing from a long time ago, and they brought it back recently because they're trying to do automated pizza deliveries now. So they're trying to, and so they wanted to have a campaign to kind of like, hey, look, we're doing this now. And so what they did is they have the Noid going against these robotic pizza delivery vehicles.
Oh my gosh. A pizza goblin? Are you kidding me?
He's a pizza goblin. That's a good way of putting it. Pizza goblin.
That's so good, though. Whoever came up with that marketing idea, genius. Just straight genius. That is marketing genius of pizza
if you guys
goblin.
haven't heard of the Noid, you should all look up a picture of the Noid so you understand what we're talking about.
Noid.
He's like this weird demonic goblin rabbit thing.
He steals Domino's pizza.
He steals Domino's pizza. That's what he does. It's his whole
there
shtick.
he is. He's so weird looking.
Yeah, very weird.
Okay.
But he's back. Okay. And he's hunting Domino's again.
Yeah, and now he's back, but he's hunting.
But so I'm thinking like you know how they have red caps?
Yeah, that's exactly where my mind
Okay,
went.
exactly.
Absolutely.
Okay, we were thinking on the same. I was thinking like red caps.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, that's exactly where my mind went. So we have an evil red cap, because red caps are like CR3, okay? Like this is like
but they're
opening
also
campaign. Like, oh, they're terrible. They're terrible creatures. Their lore is awful. Have you read
they
it?
soak their. They will die if they don't soak their hat in blood.
It's so bad.
Yeah, it's rough. It's a rough one.
But I'm thinking like level 1. You start in a small town, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's Springmas. It's a beautiful time. Everybody's handing out gifts, and everybody's giving gifts to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow, some red cap comes in, and what does he steal the gifts like in the Grinch?
So what I'm thinking is it starts off simply. So I think the red cap controls a bunch of just basic goblins as well.
Okay.
So what I'm thinking is the party is in this small town. They're seeing Springmas happen before their eyes, and maybe there's people handing out flowers. They have a handbasket full of flowers, and they're just handing it out to everybody. Like, oh, have a flower for Springmas or whatever. And so they get handed a flower by this person. All of a sudden, as they're walking away, they hear them scream. All of a sudden, these goblins have just ravaged the basket of flowers. And that's their first battle encounters with these goblins attacking this flower woman.
Is to fight off the goblins who are trying to get rid of the flowers.
Yeah. And then...
and so this red cap's ultimate goal is to remove all flowers. Like, he's a garden gnome, red cap, right? But his goal is to destroy and remove the happiness of flowers.
Yeah, he wants to... I think he wants to just... I think he wants to... remove the happiness, at least. I don't know if it's specialized on flowers, but just the happiness that Springmas supposedly gives, he does not like it.
So, okay, this might be a little bit of sidetracked, but what's his backstory? How did he become a red cap and hate Springmas so much? Was he once just a garden decoration, and how does that?
Well, so I think he was. Well, okay, I'm mixing the lore of Nilbogs and red caps. So Nilbogs are little goblins that are magical.
Yep.
And they are like little tricksters. And so I'm thinking they're like a Nilbog red cap. So they're a mixture of both.
Okay, so then what's his what makes him hate Springmas so much?
Well, so the Nilbogs are goblins that are possessed by trickster spirits. So I'm thinking whatever the spirit that controls him used to be someone who was like shunned, like who like asked somebody out and was continually rejected by everybody that they ever asked for. And so Springmas became a day that they hated. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I like that. I think I like that a lot. We could even go like one step further and like even do like a weird like maybe a kid died on Springmas or something, and it created this red cap, and because he died on Springmas, like he was rejected through his whole life in Springmas, he now hates Springmas and wants to destroy Springmas and the happiness it brings. That's so terrifying.
Yeah.
It's so we made Springmas. Happy Springmas,
We
everyone.
made Springmas. Merry Springmas. But yeah, so that's what we could do there, and I think
Okay.
I'm gonna call it.
What's the actual topic for
Yeah,
today,
I think I'm
Josh?
gonna call it there. We're gonna talk about a well-known magic item from D&D. We're back to the Forgotten Realms, everybody. Finally, after
Yay.
months. So this week, I thought I'd bring us back to the Forgotten Realms with an item most of us know, but we don't know the story of it and its history. Now, those of us who have watched Critical Role, we've been drastically misled because Matthew Mercer,
What? Critical Role has misled us?
specifically in the terms of this magic item, and it's not really Matthew Mercer's making it, it's more 4th edition that's making us look like chumps. Because 4th edition retconned the creation of these things into completely changing how it comes to be. And Matthew Mercer has gone with that storyline. And so he has a god in his game called Ioun. Ioun was a 4th edition retcon that changed Ioun Stones. Because originally before that, because Ioun Stones have been since 1st edition.
Yeah.
They were actually called originally Congenio's Pebbles, which is a name I much rather prefer.
Really? No, Ioun Stones are a way better name.
I just love Congenio's Pebbles.
It just sounds like a cereal.
It does sound like Pebbles cereal.
Like,
Before we dive into the history of Ioun Stones, though, now I'm only thinking about what shape and what they would look like, these Congenio Pebbles.
if they're a cereal?
Yes, it's all of that.
And you eat them and gain like a bonus?
They are still a D&D item. I love that.
Well,
no,
I guess that's a new item in your game.
So before we dive into, though, let's talk about what they are. Ioun Stones are small crystalline stones in a variety of colors and shapes. These magical stones float around the bearer's head, and they give the wearer enhancements or powers. Even when these stones are not floating around an individual's head, the magic item still hovers above wherever it has been placed.
Can you place them like not around your head?
Yeah, I mean, if you put it down anywhere.
Oh, okay. I thought like they just float. They automatically float like always.
Yeah, they're just always floating.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So many of the stones are just like regular magic items, some sort of focus and magic imbued into it. But some Ioun stones actually require a soul to create. These Ioun stones that use souls can grant some of the racial abilities of those souls. There is one of a troll that grants. Yeah.
You can put souls in Ioun Stones. That's how some of them are made.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that messed up?
There's a troll one that grants the regenerative powers of trolls.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Does it make you vulnerable to fire?
I don't think it does. But they can do lots of other things, from granting +2 intelligence, wisdom, or charisma, and many other things. One that I discovered existed while researching, I want to point out here that there was an Ioun Stone that was only temporary, but what it did is it granted the wearer an increased level for a short time. And that just sounds incredibly cool to me, having a magic item that can literally give you a level for just an hour or so. Like, just be like, for the next 10 minutes, you have your +1 level.
Yeah, I'm torn. I mean, I like it, but I hate it at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's like, if I make a character increase 1 level for an hour, it's just a lot of unnecessary work for a player to do.
Yeah, I mean, not if you had D&D Beyond, it's pretty easy then. But yes.
You're right, yeah.
If you have some way that'll automatically, like, just tell you, this is all you need to know, this is all you need to work on. This is what you get for going up this level.
Surprise, after the combat, everybody levels up, so you don't have to undo it.
That would be interesting. That's a way of doing it. That's a way of doing it. But so,
Yep.
so in 4th edition, they took out Congenio Ioun, who was the original creator of Ioun Stones. Congenio is considered one of the first great arcanists. He was of the Netherese Society, which we talked about the Netherese in like our second episode about Karsus's Folly.
Yep. Don't remember anything about him.
The Netherese are a powerful magocracy from before D&D became as we know it today. You could cast higher level spells and do more powerful magic without any additions needed. So you don't need another spellcaster, you don't need like blood magic, or you don't need any of these other things that people have to do nowadays to cast these epic level magics, because you could cast spells over 9th level. Now, Congenio only created he didn't only create one Ioun Stone, he created like 30 different versions of the Ioun Stone. And he was making some of the first like magic items in the world. And since magic item creation was new at the time, there was still a lot of the ideas about it that were false. So people had this weird belief back then that you can't enchant things like weapon and armor because they're simply too big and they wouldn't accept the enchantment. Now, we know this is wrong because there are many magic armors and weapons in the modern Forgotten Realms.
Yep.
So, Congenio Ioun worked under these assumptions and focused most of his enchanting on small, semi-polished rocks. He created these first Ioun Stones when he was 33 years old, marking him early in life as a great arcanist. He treated these creations like a businessman and wanted to make a consistent visual language for his customers to understand. So he kept the shapes and sizes consistent for each enchantment. So you could simply see, say, a star-shaped green emerald, and you're like, oh, I know that's going to be +2 intelligence. And so he kept this consistent language between all of them, so you could just see it and know what it was.
Yeah, you just walk into the store, grab your Ioun Stone, and you're ready to go.
Yeah. And at this point, though, they were not the Ioun Stones, they were Congenio's Pebbles. And they became in high demand with other arcanists. And he continued their development for the next 54 years. During this time, a friend suggested the much catchier name of Ioun Stone, and he rebranded and created a ton more varieties, which took off all across the Netherese Empire.
See, now I also was thinking whatever the name is, something Pebbles, reminds me of like walking to a big candy store. Yeah, walking to a big candy store and you're just like, yep, I want that pebble, and you just like pull a lever and a pebble I can't talk, falls out. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you're having some issues there.
I cannot speak right now.
So he lived for almost 1,000 years, as many spellcasters in the Netherese Society did, and when he died, other arcanists continued his work, but without the consistency that he did, and they flooded the market with many different shapes and sizes of all different types of enchantments, kind of destroying the consistent language that he had developed up until that point. These creations continued until the fall of the Netheril Society. But through the years, people have continued the creation of new Ioun Stones, and the Forgotten Realms wiki actually has a huge list of every known stone and approximately what age it was created in. If you're ever looking to like create a magic item and you're not sure what enchantment or like ability to give it, I would suggest just going and looking at this huge list of Ioun Stones and their properties, because
how many are there? There's not that many in D&D.
There's so many. Well, there are a lot in D&D. They're just from all these different editions, so they're kind of they're kind of they don't add a magic item into D&D until it's leveled for the system they've developed. And some of these are not, they didn't feel like, hey, like, oh, I don't really want to level this into our system. I don't think this is necessary. So they just left it out. Like one of the Ioun Stones that I read about, it literally prevents any damage from being taken from an attack behind you. You can only be attacked from the front.
Wow. That's so good, though.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, they all have. There's so many different like magic item abilities that are on there that are like really interesting. Like everything from like absorbing low level spells, like a Rod of Absorption, to storing spells, to literally negating attacks from behind. It seems that some early Ioun Stones actually didn't even require attunement, as there are well-known collectors like Larlock, the Shadow King, a powerful Archlich, who actually is a surviving member of the Netherese Society, and he is said to have over 24 Ioun Stones, which all orbit his skull and give him an insanely expanded list of abilities.
He's just got a full light show, baby.
He does. He was even so paranoid that he has like repeats up there as well.
What do you mean repeats? Oh, he's got
multiple of the same Ioun Stones. So like, oh no,
he really can't get stabbed from behind. He's got two guarding him.
Like some of the abilities that Ioun Stones give you they can stack, but others are just one and done. So one of the things that Ioun Stones can have happen, because they are literally floating around your character's head, they can be grabbed and pulled, and if they have to make this check to try to grab it out of the air, but it can be done.
Yeah, I know they have ACs.
Yeah, they have AC and things, and so he was so smart to be like, hey, this can be grabbed at any time. I want to like make sure that I have this protection. So he's got multiple repeating Ioun Stones. Now that is all I have currently for the topic of Ioun Stones. And I was thinking that we could create a magic item this week. Maybe it's like a well-known magic item. Maybe there's a bunch of different variants like Ioun Stones, or I don't know. I don't know. What do you think?
Okay, well, there's like immediately three things. First off, I love creating magic items. So I know you just now started playing in my campaign, but in my campaign, there is an abundance of custom-made magic items. I love making magic items too. So there are so many things you can do here. The first thing that comes to my mind is like a sentient magic item, but is that too cliche for us? Do we want to do something different?
I kind of want it to be like big, like Ioun Stones, where there's like a bunch of different variants, and I don't know how easy that is to do with sentient weapons. Like I don't know how if that makes
not very, unless you did like people were turned into weapons and like a council, and so you have like a council of 5 people who are all turned into weapons, and their personalities and
I think that's a really interesting idea. Like a certain
it's one of my favorite ones
turned into magic items.
Yeah, I think it's super cool because and you have like this literally old council that is their personalities and
their beliefs and whatever they're fighting for.
Yeah, they're are scattered about the land.
Were they originally like warlocks, do you think?
I don't know. I see it like a combination of like Lord of the rings, you know what I'm saying? Like a combination of that mixed with but sentient. So like each person was you could even do this with the 9 kings if we wanted in our world, or whatever many kings we have. But I see it more of like they're just average, council members or kings or whatever, and either they're tricked. I like the idea of that they're like tricked into like maybe somebody wanted to collapse the kingdom that they ruled over, and so they gave them these glorious gifts that would help them rule, help them control, and help them establish a stronger presence in whatever region they're in. And instead, it like essentially captures them and puts them into a weapon that the person then like had, like a Thanos type thing where he like collected he essentially had all these weapons from the council members and then died or something, and they slowly have been either passed on from different people to different people, or they've just slowly scattered around the world as time went on. But I don't like that's a fun thing to do for this, but I also run into the problem of like it's either going to be a 3-hour long episode or a 20-minute long episode. You know what I'm saying? Because like either we have to go into the backstories of each individual council member, or we stop where we're at,
Yeah.
Unless we make like abilities, I guess. So do you want to like make abilities for these magic weapons? Are we thinking more mechanics based, backstory based? What are we thinking?
I don't know. If I think if we make a whole bunch of like, if we say like, oh, it's this Council of 7, then I think we can kind of leave it up to if somebody wants to throw it in their game like that, and we just work on the story of it. But if we're gonna make something where it's like one item, then we work on the what it does.
Let's do like a. I like the idea of going with this council idea, like they were all turned into weapons.
Mm-hmm. I think it's. I think your idea is interesting about them being like they get some magic item, and it's all just like a trick.
Yeah, what I'm thinking is like.
But who
would be like a. Like you'd meet like a foreign ambassador or something, like a. I hate to use Critical Role as an example, but like a Briarwoods situation where like.
Yeah.
Either they want to rule your nation or they want to conquer your nation from another nation's perspective, but they don't have the means to do so. So like they come as these peace ambassadors, friendly, pretty much anything you'd be wanting and looking for in a ambassador. And they come bearing gifts, which is a very common thing, especially in medieval times in real life, come bearing gifts to bring to the nobility. And they end up getting these really cool, I mean, whether it be rings or like a circlet or like all of the above. Like, here's the question though. Would they give them the gifts that they eventually turned into? So like one person gets a shield. One of the council members gets a sword. One of the council members gets a ring. One of the council members gets a crown.
And it slowly is like building a bond with the person who wields it.
Yeah. And it like takes them over until they're turned into that weapon, till like their entire personality and stuff is turned into that weapon.
So like the Ioun Stones with souls, maybe it grants them like some sort of like I don't know if all of them are racial abilities, but with the Ioun Stones, like the troll, you get the troll's regeneration.
Yeah, which is super good.
Yeah.
No, but I'm thinking, something along those lines. But I think what you'd do, at least what I would probably do, would be like a variation. So you'd have like a shield, you'd have a sword, you'd have a ring, a crown, armor. Like each one of these members got one of these weapons or items based on what they did in life. So like the sword was for maybe like a tournament. Like a guy who won tournaments or was like, prestige in that route. The shield was like a bodyguard to one of the kings or something. The armor was for a warrior, the ring was for a wizard. The crown was for like a diplomat or something like that. Like all these people who were like high up in the society. And so they gave them items that helped and boost what they do. So like if you gave a diplomat like a crown or a piece of jewelry, it would like increase your charisma, for example, like an Ioun Stone essentially. And it would give you like, maybe like advantage on deception checks or something like that. Like it helps boost whatever that person did in real life. But eventually it took them over and essentially, it took their soul. So, but then you could find those items now with those same benefits. So like a crown, like I said, the jewelry, the necklace or something.
I want once they are absorbed into the item to be more powerful. I don't want it to have the same ability that it did before all this. That's why I'm like, maybe it was a mundane item they gave them that became this powerful item once it absorbed the person. And maybe the people who came in planned to use that from the very beginning.
Okay, so like they just a basic finely crafted sword.
Yes, it was more like gifts. It was more like gifts for nobility rather than
like an actual magic item.
Yeah, and so it became a magic item by absorbing the soul of the person.
Yeah, and then whoever orchestrated this gift giving then came and collected those gifts back and received all the power.
Yes, 100%.
And then came to rule, which I think that is a super awesome idea. I think that's super cool.
And I think now they rule with, like, maybe they give to their lieutenants these powerful items. And so people are taking...
Here's the next question.
If the party is taking them over as the party is killing these lieutenants, they get these items slowly.
So here's the next question then. Do we want this person to be alive still, or is he dead and like these items are now long dispersed?
I want them to be a
nation?
lich. I want it to have happened a long
lich?
time ago, but they're a lich that still lives, and they rule a nation.
Okay, do they have the items in their possession still?
I think they give them to their lieutenants, as I said. I like that.
Okay.
Unless you really hate
Okay.
that. Do you have any other ideas on that?
I don't know. I like that.
I definitely
also
think
like
you
the
could
idea
have
of
some,
them.
but I like the ideas of the party being able to get one of them before getting all of them.
Yeah, I like that. I like the idea of them being lost to the world so the party can find them in random dungeons.
Mm-hmm.
I like a mixture too. Like maybe a few of his lieutenants, maybe the lieutenant has the sword and, one of them has a ring for for spell casting. Maybe a couple of them have been lost over time. Over time, just things have happened where somebody died or something like that. And what I even more so, is giving your players one to start the game.
Mm-hmm.
So your player, maybe in your player's backstory, after a huge war, he scavenged the battlefield and found a sword. Now he's using this random longsword. Well, that random longsword happens to be, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So I like having a varied starting location for all of these items.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then you could even do over time, the party collects these and gathers them over time, and I like that a lot as well. And they get power, like Vestiges in Matt Mercer's new book, right? Vestiges of Divergence, I think those are what they're called.
Yeah.
They're super magic items that you find that level up with you and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. They're powerful magic items from when the world diverged, when the divergence.
Yeah. Like something along those lines. Now, would all of them be sentient?
I kind of want it to be, yes, they're sentient, but I kind of want it to be hard for them to talk. Does that make any sense?
Okay.
I want it to be more because for giving the party member it at the beginning, I'm all for that. But what I'm thinking is, they're not immediately talking to their sword. They don't find out that their sword can talk until something happens, something triggers it. And I don't know what that is.
What if we did this? And this might be a little too weird or a little too difficult, but what if we did, the more of these items you gathered, the more it reformed the council, essentially, and the more they can talk because they're reforming.
Okay,
cool. The curse steals your soul. The only way to regain the ability to speak is if you are able to regain the entire council.
Mm-hmm. And I kind of want them to not just be just magic council items. I want them to, some of them have learned semi-control of their form and state. Now, I'm going to give a huge spoiler warning here. I'm not going to give the big spoiler away. I will just say that I will give a part of it away. Early on in the Adventure Zone, the wizard Taco, he finds a magic arcane focus, and it is an umbrella. Throughout the game, as he's using this umbrella, it occasionally will cast a spell that he didn't plan or do these things, and the thing is that somebody is trapped inside it, and they want Taco to survive, so they're casting these spells, or they're boosting his spell casting at times, but it's all leading up to this reveal. And so maybe the items can do small things like that, where they sneak in and interfere a little bit.
Yeah, you don't know they're a sentient magic item until.
Yeah, and they're maybe they
every once in a while there's a magic surge that goes off or whatever because it casts a spell through itself.
Yeah, if they're an arcane focus, for some reason you did an extra 2 damage that time, or just little things that are wait, why?
Yeah, no, I like that. And then I think I even like the idea of when they start getting these magic items, all of a sudden one of them starts talking, I like that kind of development and growth over time. I think that's a really cool, especially when they have multiple personalities, maybe they have 4 out of the 7 or whatever. And then Some of them are like debating with each other on courses of action to take. You have to be careful though, because you don't want to like completely overshadow the players. But
no. So what I think is that's happening in the background.
yeah,
I
that's
think
kind of what I meant.
them deciding what we're gonna do. Like, oh, what do we reveal ourselves? They're actually having that conversation with each other. The four magic items that they have.
So yeah, okay, I like this idea
So
a lot.
the magic items are talking with each other, and maybe if somebody gains like telepathy or has some sort of like
they can hear it,
cast a spell, they're like, wait, you hear something, because they've been talking this whole time, and it's not until it's like revealed that, wait, our items are talking to each other. What's going on?
Okay, so so this is what I'm thinking then. To break this down a little bit more, I'm thinking that we make it so one of them is the head of this council, okay? And the person who has the head of this council every once in a while gets like nudges to like do things. Like you feel like an urge to, do X, Y, and Z, because after a while, after the council has deliberated, all these items have deliberated, the main one finally makes the final decision and idea on what they should be doing. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So every once in a while, and you'd have to be careful because you wouldn't want to like railroad really hard, but every once in a while, like the player who has the king or whatever, the head of the group, the head of the council, all of a sudden that person like feels an urge to go and do something.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'd have it that excessive on the control.
No, it wouldn't. You wouldn't like have to do it. It's just there's something in the back of your mind that, yeah, there's like something in the back of your mind that is telling you to do that. It's not a force. Like you don't feel like you have to, but it's in the back of your mind, like almost like trying to pull you that way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would be later down the road as well. So I don't think that would be like immediate, but I think I like that idea in terms of you eventually start feeling the side effects of this council deliberation more than just if you were to happen to be telepathic or something. Because if they're sentient weapons and they can control your casting and help boost your casting, eventually they'd probably be able to help or try and make you do something.
Yeah. So do you see these weapons becoming enemies at that point?
No, but I definitely see their ultimate goal would be to go and kill that lich or whatever and to get revenge.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, or like, yeah, you would meet somebody who's like part of the delegation of that lich king or whatever. Maybe the party doesn't know. And you get in the sense of your mind, like a fear, like a sense of fear or hatred or something like that. That's not like you'd meet somebody that you have no idea who it is, and all of a sudden you feel in the back of your mind like a hatred for them, and you don't know why or understand. Like that kind of stuff. Like just little things here and there. Like the weapons know who that person is that you're dealing with, but the party has no idea.
Yeah.
How would you do like the grand reveal of like all, like maybe they've gotten these items and
Well, so how many members do we think there are?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm, there's a part of me that would be like one for every party member.
Part
Just so that everybody gets
8,
one.
Like a nice 8 or 7.
I like 7. I like 8. I like 5. It doesn't really matter to me, to be honest. But I'd probably do like, if your party was like a group of 5, I'd probably have 5, and then an extra for the like lich king that they kill at the end, like one of the party members starts with one. They find one in a dungeon early level. They kill a lieutenant who has one, or 2 lieutenants who have one, that kind of thing. They find one in a dragon's horde, and then when they kill the lich king, they get the final one. But yeah, something along those lines.
Yeah,
and I think that would be having it be different how they find all these items would be preferable than just like, these 5 items are controlled by 5 lieutenants or whatever, 5 different people. I like them, one being in the hands of some sort of thief or something that they have to go chase down and find, that kind of stuff. all different. Like these items have just been, maybe the Lich King lost control of one, one rebelled or whatever. Like, there's just a whole plethora of things that could have happened to get these weapons all over the place.
Okay,
and
so
then,
you do think it was at one point related to this Lich King.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, if that's what we're going. That's totally
and so
what I was
slowly giving it to lieutenants, eventually they disperse throughout the world.
Yeah, like one rebelled, one died in a war,
It was taken by the
one
enemy.
got his memory erased, like all sorts of different stuff. And they eventually, most of the weapons or items disperse across the world, except for the one that the Lich King still has.
Yeah.
And then, the one person, like if it was a Hexblade Warlock, for example, like he'd be ruled over by this item, and it's like a council of items that the Hexblade was trying to go find.
Mm-hmm.
Like, or even just any Warlock, to be honest. If any Warlock was in your party and they made some sort of deal, you could easily replace that patron with like a council of patrons, like those like all those people in that council. And I think that'd be really fun. And then you do dreams of like the Warlock, like in a courtroom, essentially, like
a council hall in the middle of this council as they're dictating what to do.
Yes. Yeah. Like, I think that's super cool. So you could easily substitute any one of the Warlock patrons for that, and then for the items you'd give, if it's a Hexblade, you'd give the guy a blade to start. If he's, an ancient old one, you have some sort of like ring or something, like a genie, like you'd have, you could do literally anyone and just replace the items and circle the items for what they start out with whatever Warlock they choose. And I think that's super fun. And even more so, I love the idea, which I played around in my last campaign with, of a person having multiple patrons and not just one. And I think that's really fun. Like having a patron be a council of elders is so interesting. And then, because in my campaign, there were two patrons fighting over the soul of somebody. In my first campaign, they were two different patrons one of them was good, one of them was bad. And the bad one was essentially, there was a horrible disease that was spreading that the bad one gave this person, pretty much started this disease, and he gave it to one of my players. And she made a pact with the good deity to essentially save her, unknowing, of course, all this unknowing. And so there was like this constant battle where like the disease would get worse, it would get better, like there were different rolls, like constitution checks she'd have to make as like this war was raging on over her soul and her state of her body with her Warlock patrons. And that was really, really fun until she ditched them both for a hag. But that's beside the point, though.
Hey, the hag won't fight. The hag's got
Yep. Yeah, the hag just offered her like a release from this if she followed everything in her command that she gave, and she did it. So, but I love that. I love that idea for Warlocks.
Yeah, council's fun for a Warlock. Okay. And you think
do we want to break down what these items do?
Yeah. So let's start with the king's item, the one that is gonna have the control.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
For some reason, I'm thinking like a scepter. Yeah. I don't know why, but that's what I'm thinking. That seems kingly to me. Yeah, I don't know. It would probably
the scepter to be like a mace, like be able to be used as a mace, or
yeah, probably. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. And what we have this archlich essentially carrying it is what we're saying.
Yeah, I believe that would be the one holding like the big item.
Yeah, so what does it do? What are we thinking it does?
Okay.
I mean, I like the idea of it controlling undead. I like that idea, but can a lich really do that? Probably.
Very much. Yeah, I think that's a major point of being a lich. Could it... I'm thinking of Rod of Rulership right now, is what I'm thinking.
I don't even know what that does.
It lets you charm like a huge group of people.
Yeah, I mean... How I originally, I guess, was kind of seeing this was it was definitely a item that would help them persuade, rule over, dominate even. You could probably cast like Dominate Person. Like it gives you a bunch of spell slots that you can use, I'd imagine. Dominate Person, Charm Person, Paralyze, all that kind of stuff. I'd probably also see it when it hits people, it does extra damage. So like +2 weapon or whatever.
Yeah.
I like that. What else? What else would a scepter of a king be used for? Or why would the Lich choose this one as his main one and not give it away? What would make this one more special than the others?
I think it's just okay. Okay. I don't know if this is what makes this one special, but in relation to all of them, I think they can all do this thing. I just had an idea. There's a 5th edition spell. I don't know who can take it exactly. I know warlocks can. Yeah, it's from Xanathar's Guide. Let's see who can take it. Yeah, it's warlocks and wizards. It's called Soul Cage.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm thinking all of them have this kind of abilities, or at least maybe once they become more powerful and the soul begins to show itself, that's when they gain these kind of soul-related abilities.
Do we want each of them to like increase in power as the party levels up?
No, I don't think so. I think we make it.
Oh my gosh!
Yes.
Idea. Okay, we have. Okay, this is going to be a little bit to explain, and it's not going to be about mechanics. I'm thinking the item that the player starts with is the only one that levels up with you as you go. Like it's his item, like if he's a warlock or whatever, even a cleric. Yeah. It levels up with them as they go. And what I'm thinking is that there is a council with the head of the council. The main player, who is the warlock, gets the head of the council. Okay? The Archlich has almost like a Voldemort thing where his item is his own personality. So he's void. He himself is void of personality, and he essentially took over the council. Like he replaced the council. So you have this king of the council who's angry at the Archlich and his item because he took over the council. And so the story is that as the guy levels up and his item gets stronger, he goes around and tries to find the rest of the council members to give to his party to then go take on the Archlich. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay,
yeah?
So the item that's with the party from the very beginning is trying to get them to eventually go against this Archlich.
Yes.
Okay, cool. I like this.
Yeah, it's like these two items they don't like each other because one of them was the head of the council. The other one essentially
the
killed them all
did
and
this
took
to
over
all
the
of
council.
them. So
yes. Yep.
Of course you wouldn't like it.
Yeah. So, and I'm thinking even that they're separate but the same. And what I mean by that is the council member items are a different group of items than the one the Lich King has. Mm-hmm. However, the Lich King, what I'm thinking is that his item did the same thing to him that it did to the council members, but he didn't intend for that to happen. So he lost his personality and his soul to that item as well and became this Lich King because of it. And now his personality and his soul is essentially stuck within this scepter. But when he wields it, he can control his personality and his... does that make sense?
Yeah.
So essentially, he ended up duping himself at the same time also with these gifts and these items. And now they're trying to kill each other, essentially. Anyways, that was my idea.
I don't really
like
the idea of him tricking him.
Well, my thought is that he...
I mean, I think
this
scepter can easily have a vendetta against this Archlich just for doing this act. I don't think it needs to be anything more than that.
No, but where I was going with this is that he tried to create an item that was able to control the entire council.
Mm-hmm.
And it ended up like corrupting him also.
So what was he before that wasn't corrupt?
Just a normal dude. Just a normal guy who wanted to take over a council. Or something along the lines, yeah.
That's okay.
Brought on the process.
I always like the kind of natural progression of a villain where this villain is like they started out, as you were saying, like just trying to like just get a little more control over the council or whatever. But through their own greed, they slowly like wanted more and more and more. And then they went to lichdom for that.
Well, to me, that's what happened, except for that he started to create this item to be able to essentially rule over the council.
Mm-hmm.
And through his greed and his madness, he ended up creating an item that essentially brought him into, like, I don't want to say madness, because I wouldn't say he's like mad, but
You mad,
that
bro?
essentially brought him further into the depths, the darkness, essentially. Okay, my problem that I always have with liches is that it's a very dramatic and drastic step to get there, because you have to kill and murder a lot of people to get to lichdom.
Yep.
So it's just, and I don't want everything. I mean, we create a lot of liches and stuff, and so I don't necessarily like. I just don't like the concept of a lich very much in general, except for maybe one or two, at the most, because it's just such a dramatic evil that it's really hard to get there without, and then what I'm thinking is like, if the party gets all these council member items and they relieve this creature of the scepter, they're all of a sudden left with somebody who's like somewhat normal, and then the council is like, well, you need to kill him, and the party is like, well, he doesn't seem like he's that bad, it was the item that corrupted him. And so then all of a sudden the council members are against the party, these magical items that they had are against the party in a moral dilemma in the end of the campaign, like a moral conflict, instead of just like,
well, so we already have the end of campaign, so this is going to be like a mid-campaign arc.
Yeah, which it's really hard, and then again with an Archlich, it's hard to do a mid-campaign arc with an Archlich, as they, are incredibly powerful. So, but yeah, something along those lines.
Okay, so this thought is just gone. I can't recover whatever I was going to say there. I'm sure it was meaningful, and I'm sure it was going to change everything.
In peace.
Yeah, rest in peace, whatever I was going to say there.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's a fun little thing to do with, magic items, and I am a big fan of like moral gray areas.
But no, so you didn't want an Archlich. I think I got what. So you want to change that? So there's not an Archlich anymore. What is it? Just what do you think it? What do you think they became then?
Well, I'm thinking I like the idea of, like, this happened a long time ago, so he's some sort of like undead wraith lord or whatever. Like, I still like the idea of him being like a weird undead creature. Like,
okay, I'm not really seeing the difference here, but doesn't really matter.
Between like a lich and a wraith lord or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, one is just like, for example, what I was thinking is like the item and weapon that he ended up creating essentially turned him undead, and now he's just an undead, Draugr with a sentient weapon who controls and commands his body. Instead of like a huge, giant, powerful lich lord, Yeah. And then it's less of a process of, I don't have to sacrifice, 200,000 people to get enough souls to create a phylactery. And it's more of like an unfortunate story and circumstance from somebody's greed that eventually took control of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
oh gosh, now now I know what I want to do next week. What I want to talk about.
I have my lukewarm open for next week too, talking about this week's.
I'm like, so what I'm probably going to talk about, which I'll just say that here for everybody, is the Burning Man. The
Burning Man, the festival?
No, not the festival. In Fallout New Vegas, they are like a urban legend / real character who pretty much pissed off Caesar, and he burned him and kicked him into a pit.
Oh, dang.
Burning alive, kicked into a pit, and people say he still lives. And so we'll talk about that story.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm down.
So this powerful undead.
I wouldn't even go as far as say powerful. I think I like, and I think anybody can do whatever they want, but I even like the idea more so of the item itself is what's powerful. It's like robbed this corpse of everything it has.
Interesting.
And it's more of the item controlling the person than this like undead figure more than anything else. Like it's been so long, it's corrupted him for so long that he no longer functions. Like he's just the vessel that this item uses.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that, if this is a midway mark and they take this item from him and they kill him, then eventually, it starts just showing signs of that on whoever's wielding it.
Yeah.
And maybe they have to
maybe
give it
they
a curse
defeat
or
this
whatever.
undead only to later discover, oh wait, this magic item's doing that to you. Maybe they weren't bad in the first place.
See, and what I like too is like, say they destroy him and kill him, and this item is still left. Like the other 5 items are like destroy the item, but it's like powerful and cool. So then the party's like, but we kind of want it, it's pretty cool, like, and the council's like, no, you have to get rid of it. It's the one that, ruined us or whatever. Like it's maybe even not that outright, but like the council doesn't want this item in the party's possession, but the party's like, but it's cool, because that, loot goblins, man, it always works. You always have somebody who's like, well, I'll take it.
So that's the thing. I never thought the party had like a full-on connection with. I never thought they had a full-on connection with this.
With the council?
Yeah, I thought they. It was
well,
always
you gain it over time. Yeah, well, how I'd probably run it is you'd gain it over time, and you could the person who has the main one can always talk to the main one. Okay, like classic Hexblade stuff. After some time though, it's not like level 1 you can talk to your blade or whatever.
Yeah,
but over time. But then what I'm thinking is the warlock can cast like the dream spell or something and go into a state where all of the council members are, and they can deliberate through there. So like he could technically do that. And then, when they start finding new items in different members of the council members, they can hear them talking to each other every once in a while and stuff like that. Like that's how you'd probably
do it. So it's not just like they're interrupted and the party's like, hey, and the magic item's like, hey, get rid of that magic item. It's like they have to specifically seek out their wisdom or whatever.
Yes. And you might have like if the Hexblade or, the whoever has the main one,
you call
there
it
might be some sort of like uneasy feeling. Yeah, the Hexblader. If maybe he'd have some sort of like uneasiness about it, but like just as a little bit of a warning. But yeah, they'd have to like purposely seek out this council because they're all deliberating with each other all the time, but you can't like hear them all the time. You know, like you can't. You'd have to purposely look and ask this council. Like you'd have to somehow, like I said, a dream spell or something that you could cast to like have them all together and talk. Like you'd you'd do with the Hexblade, like the entire game. Like you'd be giving him these dreams of this council and you'd, all that kind of stuff and history and background. So yeah, that's probably how I'd do it.
Well, I think that's cool. I think I like what we've made here.
Yeah, me too.
Well, thank you all for listening to episode 39 of Dungeoneered.
Woo!
Yeah, woo is right.
Cheers.
This is good. I'm liking this. If you listen to us on any podcasting app that has rating and reviews, please make sure to write us a review. Let us know what you think. Yeah. Thank you for listening, and always remember to be the sharpest barrel in the bunch. See you next time.
Bye. I can't believe I just did that.
You've done worse.